Queen PR, Krista B, those wrestling girls, TWG, Black Excellence, making it effortless. Podcast bringing up women in wrestling. Let's go.
Hey everybody, what's up? We're back. It's those wrestling girls. It's your girl Krista B
and Queen PR.
And we are sorry in advance. We know that you guys have been anticipating this Charlotte Flair, the last part of this Charlotte Flair series, but life was lifing. Like, we are busy, two busy women. It happens. You know, if this was old us, we'd have been like panicking and freaking out. And now we just like, listen, life happens. We still give y'all good content to enjoy while we're handling life. And that's it. How am I? I am excited that Mania season is here. Mania is like 5 weeks away. Mania is 5 weeks away. I'm excited that I have some projects that are getting lifted up off the ground at work.
I love that.
Thank you. I'm good. I'm really happy. I'm good. I'm excited for the new things that's gonna come about. And I really can't complain. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. I got a lot of rest this weekend so far. It's been a busy week, but it's also been one of those like rewarding weeks as well. You know, you get those like moments where you're like, like what is next? Like what else is out there kind of thing. And that just makes me want to just kind of channel all of that into everything that we're doing. So I finally got the creative mojo to redo my wall. I've been wanting to.
I was looking at your wall and I'm just like, nah, I gotta update my wall. I gotta update my little wrestling side because we over there sparkling and shining.
I've had so many things that I've acquired, either like gifts or going to like conventions and stuff that I just like never did anything with. All these Funko Pops that like I'm like I don't do anything with. So I was like, I'm gonna just one day take everything down and just put everything up. And I'm gonna do, I think, maybe a TikTok series on everything that's on the wall, because you can't really see everything, but everything is really, really cool.
So are your Funko Pops on shelves? Like, do you have floating shelves on your phone?
They're clear shelves, and you hang them up with like double-sided tape. Okay. So you can like hang them up. Yes, I got all my Funkos, and I have my, I don't know if you can see like my desk too.
Listen, I'm over here trying to steal ideas because I got these two plaques. I got these two plaques that I still have to hang up. I got the 3 pictures of Bianca, Sasha, Naomi that I still need to hang up. I have that photo of The Rock that Brian gave me. Oh my God. And then I kind of want to rearrange like this little piece of everything. And I still want I need to put this in a frame. So I'm just over here trying to figure out like what to do. And then I have like my little queen self on this side of the wall, but I feel like I want to take her down and, you know, make this whole side my little wrestling nook. And I'm over here looking like, oh, she got that up. Because I got Funko Pops too. Like, they sit in the room. They could be in the living room.
Okay, what do I do with these? Like, I love collecting them and I want to like share them with all the other wrestling fans. So I was able to do that, and we put up our website.
Yeah.
WrestlingGirls.com, because you know social media these days is so weird. Twitter has their rules, and Instagram and all that shit with Linktree. And I was like, we need everything in one spot because we have so much going on, so many things we want to do. So it's really good to just be able to tell people to go to thosewrestlinggirls.com. So check out thosewrestlinggirls.com.
That's just like,
let us know what you think.
That is just like a breath of fresh air. Like, wrestlinggirls.com. Like, what? Yes, we have a website. Follow us.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
It's there. Oh, come on now.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm gonna say, girl, no, it's fine. They know what it is. It's okay.
There you
They
go.
don't exist. Those
But
wrestlers
yes,
are
visit
not
the
coming.
website, visit thewrestlinggirls.com. Everything will be there in one spot. So yeah, having accomplished all of that, and then just looking, like you said, looking forward to Mania. It was up in the air. I finally booked my flight. We in there,
I didn't book mine
like
yet.
somewhere. Oh well, I mean, we'll be there.
We're definitely
We'll definitely
going to
be
be
there.
there. Like I'm not. Me and God be having these conversations. So yeah,
And everyone, I think every fan goes through that every year, kind of, where it's like, am I going? Am I not going? Because the intention is you want to go to every show. You want to travel to every show, especially Mania. And, life be life. And so it's always like that uncertainty of like, can I do this between work, between all this shit? So hopefully everyone that wants to be at Mania is at Mania, is in LA. And if not, we hope that you're in a comfortable, fun spot being able to watch it. If you're in New
no,
York, you should be at Legends Bar with
absolutely
volunteers. And if you're elsewhere, live stream, make it a thing. Because
make
that's
it
the
a
one thing.
thing. But I'm definitely going to be in at I gotta be in LA. Like I was told I gotta be in California. Like people can see me.
I could
I give
totally
California vibes, and I'm just like I want to give California vibes. Like so, no, I'm definitely going to be there. I'm definitely going to book my flight really, really soon. Use up this credit that I have for my flight, thanks to me not going to Rumble. I have a flight
see,
credit.
see,
So
everything happens for a reason.
absolutely, absolutely. So I'm definitely going to catch us out there. I was watching Black Wrestling. They're going to be out there.
Lit.
So yeah, and I can, y'all probably can see me and Matt antagonizing each other. So who wouldn't want to see that?
Right. It's gonna be a good time. If you're gonna be around, especially at Wale Mania, like let's make sure we get a pick. There's so many people I can't wait to meet that we haven't been able to meet that are gonna be there. So that's I'm excited to connect with people. And I think a year, so much could happen in a year. Like last year, anticipating Dallas, and now we're anticipating LA and
I'm
so
just not
many
anticipating that flight.
yeah,
I thought Texas was a long flight, child. LA's gonna be longer.
it is. See, but me, I sleep. So I'm like, I'm just gonna get on the plane, knock out. Hopefully, God
I
willing,
can't
wake
really
up.
sleep on a plane. Like I'll try to, but I really can't get comfortable like to sleep on a plane or whatever. Like maybe if I take some melatonin or something, and I'll go to sleep and wake up and be like, oh, we landed. Okay, cool. But I be trying. Like I really be trying to sleep and I can't.
It's so interesting how people like everyone flies differently. Like there's some people that's just like they can't like settle down, and then there's people like me that's just like, all right, wake me up when we get there. Like my sister is on high alert the entire flight.
I mean, I don't be on high alert for some like usually, and my friends know like I'm the one that's gonna sleep. It's me. Like I'm sleeping before I'm taking a nap and doing. But for some reason, unless I like stay up the night before, like just up, and then I crash when I get on the plane, like just fall asleep and be like, oh, okay. But other than that, girl, I'll cute little cat nap.
Yeah.
Oh my god, why are we still on this plane? Like I was in Texas. I was so like, why is this the longest flight of my life? Why?
Thank God I got direct flights. But everyone who is traveling to LA, because it's going to be people from all around the world there, you should listen to those Wrestling Girls podcasts on the flight because you can binge. We have 86
Absolutely.
episodes now. We cover like so many different things
Topic.
and wrestlers and spotlights on women's wrestling and event recaps, and you can replay our live streams, our Thirsty Thursday live streams, our fan club live streams, and all that. And I just also want to shout out basically our team that we've been working with on Christina, Brian, Ciendol,
That's fair.
Justin, and because it was really just us for a very long time, and being able to open it up to people has been, I think, very valuable to the brand, and everyone kind of brings something to the table, which is very appreciated. And then everyone that's been rocking with us every week on Twitch, because Twitch is a very much a new thing for us. Relatively in the last 5 years we've been a brand. We haven't been doing Twitch consistently for a year, and we already have a loyal
Following.
And yeah, loyal following that joins us every week for Fan Club and Sound Off. So I want to shout you guys out. And there's more to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's take this quick break before we get into this Charlotte episode. Y'all, please do not kill us. We are sorry. We love you. And just enjoy this break.
So the interesting part too about the Charlotte and Sasha thing was that it was very much a flip flop. Not really like how it is now. I feel like women like they hold it for like a long amount of time. But Charlotte came over to Raw. She was drafted to Raw, and that's when they renamed it the Raw Women's Championship. Mm-hmm. And on the first night that she was a Raw, officially a Raw superstar in 2016, Sasha Banks beats her for the title. So it was shocking. And that's what I love. Like when I was rooting for Alexa during, I was like, if Bianca drops it, I'm like, the shakeup, which now sounds crazy. But it's because it's a shocking thing.
Watch your words.
People were like watching it and being like, oh shit, Charlotte lost. Like Sasha Banks won, and it's the person that everybody's been rooting for so long. I love that. And I love that they had that back and forth because you never really knew who was going to win. Going into like Extreme Rules and all that, and SummerSlam, and like you really never knew who was going to win. Sasha had these really short feuds that everybody didn't like, but I enjoyed the back and forth. Like it just made it so exciting.
It did. Like I said in previous episodes, like they literally brought out the best in each other. So like we said, that was a part of our Charlotte episode part 2. So please make sure you check that out. But as you was mentioning earlier in that episode, we did see the first ever women's main event. And being there, and I know we touched on this in the previous episode, so I'm not going to like go back into it, but it's still an exciting and rewarding feeling. Like that's just for it to be my first Mania, and for it to have that moment. It was so much star powers. These women literally went tooth and nail. We literally carried on until the next day.
You really did.
I was tired. I was over it.
That was the first of the 2-day Mania.
Yes. That I wasted $6 on some Dunkin' Donuts hot chocolate. It was cold, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it. So we all know that Becky, when she become Becky 2 belts, Ronda is upset because it was a controversial ending, which I could see that. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go cry to your mammy, not us. And then Charlotte loses. And in Charlotte's loss, she kind of took a break. We didn't see her for a while.
It definitely becomes like the Becky show.
Yeah, like Becky kind of took
Ronda leaves. Charlotte goes on a hiatus. But it's not long until she's back. And she wins the title again.
Mm-hmm.
So she ends up winning it from Becky after Lacey Evans interferes in the match. So Lacey Evans was feuding with Becky after WrestleMania. I'm sure everybody remembers that.
You know what's crazy? I actually like that feud.
Becky and Lacey?
Becky and Lacey, because you also tied in Corbin and Seth, and you had that. I really like that feud. I like that feud, and then you had Becky to have a chance to go on Raw, because you said Charlotte took the SmackDown Women's Championship off of her, and for Charlotte to come back and dominate SmackDown.
Yep.
So I loved all of that.
Yeah. Looking back, you're absolutely right. So Charlotte does become SmackDown Women's Champion again, but not for long, because during the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, Bayley cashes in on her. Mm-hmm. So this is one of those really celebrated moments in Bayley's career and wrestling in general. I think because she was such a super baby face for so long, and it always kind of felt like she hadn't really had like her moment yet on the main roster. Like she was Raw champion and she feuded with like Alexa Bliss and stuff. But I think that Money in the Bank win was needed. And then for her to cash in on Charlotte,
yeah, of course,
was even better. So that was the second time somebody cashed in on Charlotte.
And won.
And won. You had.
First it was Carmella.
And now you got
Bayley.
Bayley.
What if that's like the streak for Charlotte?
Right? She has so many. It's like, okay, you already know you're gonna cash in on. You're gonna cash in on Charlotte.
You know you're losing, right? Oh, all right.
Basically, right. It's like Charlotte. Once somebody win and you champion and they win Money in a Bank briefcase, watch your back.
You're
Basically, because
losing,
you
baby.
already know you
You
might
losing.
just
It's
lose
okay.
that shit.
That's it.
So this goes into Charlotte's numerous reigns, but also like short ones and ones that are sort of just to get to another point, which is a very controversial. Like I can go on and on and on about like what I hate about it and what I hate about her title reigns, which we'll probably go into later in the episode. But the fact that it took the belt off of Becky and then was able to give Bailey this moment, I was kind of okay with that.
I was okay with it. I mean, I still wasn't feeling Becky at that. I mean, not Becky. You're right, Bailey at that time or whatever. But I started to feel the way for Charlotte too, because it's just like you have this person you name the queen, wrestling royalty, genetically superior, and you're giving her these short runs, which reminds us of what y'all was doing with Sasha. Like, not saying that Sasha deserved it too, but we already saw it for one horsewoman. We don't have to see it for another. Like,
And
they
it
were both
also
deserving of long runs, but they're two of the best out of the four. Why do that to two of the best out of the four?
right.
That was the question. That was the eyebrow raising question for me. Like,
Yeah. And then it just adds on to these, record breaking reigns, but it just seems like there's no substance behind it
yeah,
because, it's like, okay, it was basically to get to a means to an end, but then it also adds to like the history of these titles. And it just seems like it could just be more done with it. But now she's no longer champion. Now Bailey's champion, and Bailey can go on and do what she ends up doing. I can't wait to cover her. But SummerSlam season comes along and she starts to feud with a legend. And that legend is Trish Stratus.
which
So
I vaguely remember.
Krista, I was literally going to say I barely remember that shit. I don't know why, because on paper, this sounds like the best. Why wasn't I into it more? I can't put my finger on why I wasn't into it. So it wasn't. I did appreciate the title wasn't involved. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that Trish Stratus was with Charlotte. Why do you think this match didn't hit the way that like you would think it would?
I feel like because people, this is a dream match, right? Charlotte, the queen, versus Trish Stratus, the legend, and um for everybody was, oh my god, Charlotte and Trish going toe to toe. It was overly hyped, and because it was the pressure of it being overly hyped, they caved. They caved under the pressure. They didn't write this storyline out right. They didn't make it as memorable for many of us. It's probably memorable for some, but for many, it's just like that actually happened. Like, this looks like you say that they had a feud or whatever the case may be like that, it automatically reminded me of the standoff that Trish had with Sasha Banks and Royal Rumble, or like, it doesn't really stand out. Like, that standoff alone could have led to something. So for
Right.
Charlotte and Trish to have that and it fall flat,
Yeah.
it's just like they should have done better with the booking. They should have done better with the writing, the creative writing behind it, because that's a dream match. People would want to see Charlotte and Trish go toe to toe.
It really was a dream match and it really did fall flat. And I'm wondering, like hearing you talk about, like, I'm wondering, is it because that's not the Trish match that I think the fans wanted? I think fans wanted Trish and Sasha. I think they
Absolutely.
wanted that original Trish and Alexa Bliss from Evolution. It's something about, and I get it. So they tried. And this is the thing with WWE, is like, we're so fickle because they tried. SummerSlam was in Canada. Boom, you got that part. It was simply a fact of Charlotte coming back and being like, I'm the best women's wrestler in WWE history. And then Trish Stratus popping up, basically being like, bitch, no, you're not. I'm the greatest. And you can arguably say either one of them is the greatest. So the fact that that was the underlying story to me was great, but it just didn't click for me. The match wasn't particularly memorable either. Like Charlotte Flair ended up winning, and this was Trisha's kind of second retirement match. And then they had the submission thing, like whose submission move, finisher was better. But I think it really came down to, this is not the Trish match people wanted.
Yeah.
And I know I bring up Sasha Banks a lot, but I do think this is one of those moments where WWE fumbled, because again, this wasn't it. This was not what we wanted, and Charlotte wasn't in the company at the time. But I mean, at least you can say she retired a legend, and it kind of adds to Charlotte's, kind of
Her resume.
yeah, like her resume, which is really everything is just like, okay, yeah, we need to put that on there. WrestleMania main event, she might not fit, but you know what? We want to put that on her resume. Let's throw her in there. And I don't know if that does her justice or not. Like,
I don't think it does so either. But like you said, it's just like a check off the checklist. Like, all right,
yeah,
I beat a legend. We can move on now. And speaking of moving on, so from SummerSlam, she goes to Clash of Champions. She feuds again with Bayley.
yep.
And I believe she loses to Bayley, if I'm not mistaken. Or does she win against Bayley?
Bayley starts to exhibit. No, she loses to Bayley, and because Bayley basically cheated, she starts exhibiting some of these heel tendencies that we start to see. Is no more like happy-go-lucky. It's not the same person that cashed in on Charlotte. Let's put it that way. And she loses to Bayley.
She loses to Bayley because of an exposed turnbuckle.
Yes. So out of the 4 horsewomen, I'm so curious. How do you feel about, so we know Sasha and Charlotte meant to be. Charlotte and Becky, clearly that feud, it just writes itself. How do you feel about Charlotte and Bayley feuding? Like, does that particular matchup within the 4 horsewomen work for you, or
Bayley then?
were you kind of
no. Okay. Bayley now and Charlotte, child.
Book it.
Look, me and my Doritos like, I see you over there. Yelling at the TV. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Damn, I forgot I was recording. We did eating Doritos. Oh wow, I'm hungry. I know I eat. Anyway, I do like the fact that Charlotte was able to help Bayley come into her evil tendencies, because Charlotte was a heel too. Like, so for Bayley was a tweener, but the devil on her shoulder was coming out more than that angel was. She was ready to try to fling it away, and it wasn't. But that devil one, yeah. So I do appreciate it. I do appreciate the little feud that they had. And then after Clash of Champions, once Becky, all right, girl, stop talking about me. I'll see you at Mania. Since Bayley won, they go on to Hell in a Cell. Yeah. And was it in a Hell in a Cell cage?
No, so it was a regular championship match at Hell in a Cell, and Charlotte beats Bayley and becomes SmackDown Women's Champion again. And then this is the catalyst to Bayley turning, because that shot of like Bayley crying at the bottom of the ring is like so vivid to me for some reason. And so she becomes SmackDown Women's Champion for the 5th time. Now she's a 10-time champion. So this is 2019. She's a 10-time champion. She has been on the main
for like 4 years
roster since 20, and she's already a 10-time champion. But then it's again one of those short reigns, because she ends up losing the title 5 days later to Bayley again. So we add on to her resume, and we have another short reign, but again, it leads us to something else. So now she's kind of done with SmackDown. Charlotte's drafted to Raw, and this begins the season of your favorite pay-per-view, Survivor Series, and or PLE, whatever. But also one of the dopest Survivor Series ever to me, and that's when NXT got into the mix.
Oh yes, absolute chef's kiss. Chef's
everything about it.
Kiss, because you definitely had 3 teams for like the first time ever in Survivor Series. So you had Team SmackDown, Team Raw, Team NXT. And I believe Charlotte was the captain of Team Raw. It will only be right for her to be the captain of
She
Team
was.
Raw because, like, who else? Because Becky was still champion at this time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so she was in that match with Bailey and Shayna.
Yeah, so she wasn't even on Team Raw.
No, she wasn't.
And I figured they was just like, yeah, you already got punched in the face once. Since we just gonna sit you out, we not going to even do this to you right now. You could wrestle for you could wrestle for your championship. You're not going. You're not going to do that. So yeah, it was champion versus champion versus champion. We all know how I love Survivor Series. It's team versus team versus team. It brings out that fire, brings out that competitive edge that people love to
Really
see.
does.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So then, however, although although I had loved to see NXT there, I'm always like a Raw. Okay, that's gonna come out so wrong. Hold on.
Say you're a Raw.
Yes. That just sounds so weird.
Because I know how that's gonna sound, but fuck it, because it is what it is.
It is what it is. Sounds so weird, but like I'm always team. Oh my god, that sounds weird too. Anyway, but NXT took it.
And this was the Raw team.
That's I'm like just looking back at the team. It didn't mesh well for me. Like Sarah Logan, what are you doing? Natty should be wearing something on SmackDown.
I'm not even gonna lie, Sarah Logan, her outfit was cute. Then you had Natty. Kairi Sane was hilarious in that match.
Yeah, she was.
So funny with her hat, and then you had Asuka. And this is after NXT had invaded on SmackDown, and they were definitely making a name for themselves. This was a really exciting. As much as the teams were kind of like meh, and NXT ended up winning. It was a very exciting time.
It was, and this was the time when I got first really introduced to Bianca Belair, because she had fucking bench press Dana Brooke and threw her over the damn thing while Carmella's just sitting there like, like, why every time somebody gets invaded, Carmella's just sitting there acting like she hurt? I was crying.
Oh, okay.
I was crying. But yeah, so NXT ended up winning. And I feel like this right here, although it was an excellent time in wrestling, I feel like for Charlotte, she was kind of getting lost in the shuffle. Like we were so used to seeing her on top, seeing her, although whether it was warranted or not, be put in matches and showcasing her agility and her athleticism and being the queen that she is. And I just sounded like you when I said that, child.
It's because we've been doing this Flair series. That's why.
But then it just felt like she was kind of getting lost in the shuffle in a sense. Like things, looking in hindsight, it just didn't make sense for her to do.
Is it because everything was focused so much on Becky at the time? Because everything she does from this point on, because they end up losing Survivor Series mainly because Asuka turned on her with the green mist. I have to put this up there because, mind you, they're teammates and they're the last two, and Asuka basically.
But why does she turn on her? Because Charlotte was trying to be on some demanding cool shit.
Yeah, also this was Asuka's heel turn. They have history from Mania 34, so it was one of those things. But then it does kick off like one of my favorite feuds personally, which was the Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte and Becky. But everything was sort of always off the heel of like Becky. This part of Charlotte's career, she's kind of like just there. Do you think that's what it might be?
That's what I feel like. I feel like because Becky was getting so high in rankings and doing whatever she's doing, they just had to find a place for Charlotte. They didn't want to lose her. She's a great asset,
right?
to the brand and whatever she's doing, but we still have to find something for her. So yeah, we could put her with Becky. Let them feud with the Kabuki Warriors. And then I believe it was the same year they started feuding with Sasha and Bailey.
The next that time period is when they are basically a babyface tag.
Charlotte and Becky.
Sasha
Mm-hmm.
at Madison Square Garden.
Yo.
Sasha and Bailey versus Charlotte and Becky. Like, oh my god! Like, can you book a better tag team match to see live at Madison Square Garden?
Yo, when I tell you, that moment, and we would literally like right there. That happened. That was also in 2019 because 2020 shit shut down and we was just all home. But I just want to touch on that moment for a little bit because after the feud with the Kabuki Warriors for the tag team champions, you know that Becky and Charlotte ended up losing. They were never tag team champions. Then Sasha and Bailey. Was Sasha and Bailey around the time of that feud? They were the new tag team champions.
I want to say yes. Oh no, because I think they won those during. I'm not 100% sure what Sasha and Bailey were up to. No, because I think the Kabuki Warriors were tag team. The Kabuki Warriors were tag team champions because they had the TLC match at the end of the year, which is one of my favorite matches. They had a TLC match. I think it was the first time there was a women's tag team TLC match for the championships, and that was amazing. Like the way to end 2019, that was the last pay-per-view, that was the last WWE PLE match. It really delivered. I don't know if everybody remembers, but Kairi Sane getting injured in that match, and Becky Lynch basically helping her carry that match.
Yeah,
was one of the it was beautiful to watch.
It was a beautiful story to watch, a beautiful story to unfold. Absolutely. Now I'm remembering now just speaking about it. But the feud with the four horsewomen, and I said it. I've always said this. Go back prior episodes, please. I said, yo, we need a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match. Like we had one in NXT. I need one now. And for us to see that, like, and they was antagonizing. This was Bailey's biggest heel. This was her official heel turn. Sasha's beating Becky in the ring with the chair. Bailey runs out, grabs the chair from Sasha, tells her to relax. In turn, turns around and starts wailing on Becky with that chair.
Yep.
That is a fish. Who's going to come out but Charlotte? Charlotte comes out with her chair. And they start going ham.
Had to be.
And they start going ham. And then that following Monday, no, that was Raw. Yeah, that following Monday, we were there to witness. Like, oh, this girl, we go. Once they announced it, we going. We going. Okay, I'll meet you at MSG. And to see that, like, I felt like that little kid that was next to us when Jeff Hardy came out. Like it was just something so surreal to see. Like, and I've always loved Becky and Charlotte's friendship before they are no longer before we knew for real they're no longer friends, which breaks my heart. It's sad.
It is.
It's a sad thing, but that right there, like, I would want to literally go. I need to go back and watch that,
please.
Like, because we were there, so we didn't hear commentary, but.
It is. It's definitely one to watch, and so I want to take a break before we get into 2020 because this was pandemic year, but also Charlotte did a lot in this year. Basically,
we could definitely take that break.
Cool. So I'm gonna show a montage that we did for fan club. So we spotlighted a Black female indie wrestler every week for Black History Month. So I want to show a montage of that, and then I want to kind of get into this magical year in wrestling, which was 2020.
Absolutely.
But for Black History Month, we have spotlighted a Black wrestler every week, and I chose Big Swole this week for a number of reasons. So she honestly feels like family to us at this point. Like, we are so blessed to be able to see her all the time at Battle Club Pro. So she was the Icons champion for a while there, and she defended it all the time. And one thing I like about all of her matches that I have gotten to see was that she always takes a moment, whether she wins or not, and she always puts over her opponent.
I'm so excited to actually spotlight this young lady. I've been a fan of her now. I'm really digging into her this year. You can put that graphic right back up because I'm going to give it up for my sisters from the motherland. And this sister specializes in 4 languages. Not only that, she specializes in strong style, female style. I'm talking about Miss Queen Nita. That's how you say it. Her career highlight right now, she's the GCW Women's Champion. She ranked number 100 on the women's PWI in 2021. This young lady, she's impressed me. She's gone.
This week we're going to celebrate one and only Miss Ariella Nick, former Victory Pro Wrestling Women's Champion, Capital Wrestling Women's Champion, Pro Wrestling Magic Women's Champion, Catalyst Wrestling Women's Champion. She's with somebody who's also done a lot of promos, done a lot of managing work, and if she got to get interfere in a match, do what you gotta do. That's sometimes you have to do that to make sure the person that you're managing is winning.
Hey,
Okay, that was cute.
Right.
That was a really cute montage. I was so happy I was able to be a part of the one where you did for Swole. Shout out to Big Swole. Shout out to Queen Aminata. Shout out to every other Black wrestler out there. We can't name you all, but heart. We love you.
And there's so many. We also found out there's so many Black women holding championships right now.
Yes, you went over that in fan club, and I was like, "What?"
Right? It's like, it's so many. But then it's like, why? I hate that it was a thing that we had to note. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, why is this a thing to note? But it is. I want to show this graphic really quickly.
That's beautiful.
Of covered, you got the indies covered. It's a beautiful thing.
It's just so beautiful. And we know or met half of these women already.
We've seen a lot of them wrestle. We've seen a lot of them come up. And so the Renegade Twins actually lost their NWA Tag Team Championships recently.
Damn, they pulled a Sasha.
Right? I'm like, okay. All right, NWA.
Right, don't do that. But we just want to give our flowers to all the Black women.
Let's get back. Yes, we love you. We love all of you queens. So back to Charlotte Flair 2020. So this Royal Rumble,
interesting.
Right, it really is. So 2020 Royal Rumble was interesting because it unfortunately was the day that Kobe Bryant passed away. And so it kind of had this damper on it. I remember I was being at Legends, but it was definitely a sad, energy in the air.
Sad in there. So sad.
Heavy. It was hard to be like cheerful. So thank God for wrestling once again, which gave us that escape. And Edge came back that Mania as well. I was Naomi as well. She went fucking viral. A return that I think we all have been waiting for. I went into that Rumble, as everyone probably knows by now, hoping that Sasha entered and won. I just knew this was going to be like her year. And I was very disappointed when she didn't come out. How did you feel about this Royal Rumble and Charlotte ended up being the winner?
So for one, your face when Sasha didn't come out. Yo, if y'all was there at Legends that day, despite, like P said, it was really a heavy day. Like, just, it was so heavy. Like, it was just like, do we even, like, I was texting you, like, hey, do we even want to go to Legends?
Right.
Like, I remember when, everybody remembers where they were when they heard about Kobe Bryant. I was in church. My whole church was just like, oh my God. Like, and then going into Legends, it being heavy, and the WWE, you know, doing the montage of Kobe Bryant, and, you know, seeing everybody like post their tweets and his family and all of that. But wrestling saved us. Wrestling did save us. Wrestling was a part of us, you know, coming together and loving on each other a little bit more, especially that day. So seeing Naomi come out, I think I done screamed the roof off of Legends that night. Seeing Edge come out, I was just like, oh shit, this is about to be lit. Sasha didn't come out, unfortunately. But seeing Charlotte come and, you know, win. Like I said, around looking at in hindsight, looking at her run in 2019 after losing, it was good to see her come back. It was good to see her come back, see her win, to get that, you know, that's at this point she earned her spot to go to WrestleMania. Unlike 2019. Okay.
Yeah,
so
no.
She definitely earned her spot to go. And then for her to, instead of going for Raw or SmackDown Women's Champion, she went to NXT.
Yep.
And I was really confused because I'm just like, baby girl, you're already a Grand Slam champion. Why didn't you go back to NXT? Wait, no, she's not a Grand Slam champion.
She's a Grand Slam champion. Not at this point, but she does become a Grand Slam champion.
She does become a Grand Slam
champion. Triple Crown champion, I believe, as well.
Because she's never won tag team titles. Because at this point, we didn't have tag. Yes, we did have tag.
Did, but she hadn't won them yet.
Yeah. So so I was really confused as to why she decided to go to NXT and challenge Rhea, because those celebrities those superstars who went back to NXT, you know, you can tell they went back for developmental character development, you know, career development, and, you know, want to establish themselves before they came back up. So I was like really confuzzled, and yes, I said confuzzled, and I'm like, sis, you're already established. Like, do you miss it? Like, are you not happy? Like, do you want to be under Triple H and Shawn Michaels more? Like, make it make sense.
So when I was researching for this episode, because I felt the same way as you, I was like, okay, this is very, very interesting. Because after she won, she was teasing this announcement, and I think it was also one of those things where no one wanted to see like who was wrong in SmackDown Women's Champion. I don't think they wanted to explore either of those options. And I think if pandemic didn't happen, they wanted this to be Rhea Ripley's moment. Because I truly believe that if the pandemic didn't happen and WrestleMania 36 went as planned, I think that Rhea would have beat Charlotte to retain the NXT Women's Champion. And I think they wanted to elevate NXT in the process. But obviously that didn't end up happening. So I was kind of okay with her challenging for the NXT, because I was like, okay, this is actually different. I was like, this is not what anyone ever expected. And believe it or not, just going back to her winning Royal Rumble, like I hated that she won Royal Rumble, because one, it was
a comeback.
Yeah. And then two, I always looked at Rumble, and this is before the women had one, like growing up, I always looked at Rumble as the opportunity for someone to get a championship opportunity that never usually gets one, where it's like they finally get it. And it just seems like Charlotte at this point is what, a 10-11 time champion. It's like, did you really need a championship opportunity? I think someone else could have had it. But then you go into, okay, well, this will make Rhea Ripley. This will expand NXT, because clearly after Survivor Series, that's the plan, is to elevate NXT. And none of that ends up happening. So now you kind of look back on it like, why did Charlotte do this? So it can really go, you know, so many different ways. How did you feel about Charlotte beating Rhea at Mania? Because I was just like, wah, wah.
I was like, but why?
Yeah.
Are you, in the words of Bianca, you don't even go here. So like make it make sense. But now, and this at the time of this recording, it makes all the sense in the world. Rhea gonna get her lick back. But then
Mhm.
back, like, what were you trying to prove?
Right.
Like, why? What? I mean, like I said, now it makes all the sense. Rhea finna get her lick back, whatever. But then it was just like, and then like she won NXT championship. People were still in the building every now and again. So I felt like, okay, so Charlotte's now gonna be subjected to stay in Florida.
Yeah,
For
that was the other thing
NXT.
where it was like, yeah, where people were like, okay, does this even make sense? Okay, Charlotte Flair is now NXT Women's Champion. Like, is she really gonna just be in NXT? Like, like, is she gonna go to the main roster with it? What's up?
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense to me at all. I I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying to
Yeah,
make 2 + 2 = 4 on that one, but it's not.
and
It's
it's
not the math
also in retro. It's like we're also looking at it now where Rhea Ripley is now kind of a hot thing. She's now the Royal Rumble winner, and now she has challenged Charlotte Flair. She's a heel. Charlotte's a babyface. So it's so different now. So even looking back at this, it's very much like it just doesn't. It doesn't seem like it really happened, which is kind of a lot of the pandemic era of life. Was like, wait, that really did happen.
right.
Like Charlotte was NXT champion. She did she defended it. She was champion for like 60 something days, which is like 2 months. And she showed up at a takeover in Portland to challenge Rhea. So there was that visibility for NXT, like I mentioned before. And she lost the title at a takeover, an in your house takeover match. So again, putting eyeballs on that NXT product, because I watched that match because Charlotte Flair was involved, and I was like, I need to know how this is gonna end. And it was a triple threat match between Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and of course Charlotte. And she loses it to Io Shirai, who became one of the best NXT Women's Champions. How did you feel about
Absolutely.
that? Should it have been Rhea to take it back, or were you cool with Io and the Io era kind of continuing?
Well, like I said, I really didn't watch NXT like that. Like, although like I was watching it more than I did when they were the 4 horsewomen down there.
Mhm.
So I knew who Io was because of her coming up to the Royal Rumbles and things like that. So at this point, whatever to do to get Charlotte off NXT, y'all be great. Y'all do it. That's just what y'all do it. Like, that's just what it is. So it could have went to Santa Claus as long as Charlotte was off NXT, to make it make sense for her to come back to Raw or SmackDown. It didn't matter to me at that point. But now looking back at it, now we actually have a good storyline to where Rhea just said on SmackDown, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. Like you put me in my place, but I'm gonna put you in yours. I'm gonna basically get my lick back. And 3 years in the making,
And it's deserved. Rhea needs to get her lick back.
Absolutely.
Period. So Charlotte actually goes on hiatus after this. Nia Jax attacks her, so she goes on break. And
Nia Jax was the bully, and I did not like that it made her a bully.
Yeah, she became kind of a jerk. We should definitely do a Nia Jax episode.
We didn't do one yet?
No, and I'm like, we need to definitely do that because that will be good. She's done a lot. But yeah, so Charlotte Flair takes a break. She comes back for the TLC pay-per-view, and she partners up with Asuka, a familiar opponent,
Right.
but now they are a tag team and they win the tag team championships against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who were a tag team. I had issues with this personally.
I know, me too.
Because I just want it's so many different things. Like, I hate what they do with the tag team division and these tag team titles. I fucking hate that shit. I think it's just like lazy shit. Why is Charlotte Flair on her return now? She's all of a sudden tag team championships with Asuka. They were not even, they were enemies. It's not even like at any point in time they were like quote unquote friends, and they try to force this whole like mutual respect thing between Asuka and Charlotte, and Asuka's honored to be, tag team championship with Charlotte. And I'm like, okay, well, are y'all forgetting how Asuka sprayed green mist in Charlotte's face when they were on the same team? How Charlotte, broke Asuka's undefeated streak at WrestleMania after Asuka won the Royal Rumble. Like, that's the shit I want to remember. I don't want to see them as tag team champions. Like,
in other words, P wanted them to have that smoke,
basically,
instead of putting it out.
And it was just so like, oh my god, like, I don't know, it didn't fit to me. Like, and I know it was like the what was that called? The Thunderdome era, and a lot of things happened that probably wasn't planned and all that shit, but I just wasn't here for it.
I mean, I guess because I wasn't here for either. It just nothing in that era made sense. Nothing. Starting back to us having to be home. How about that?
Right.
Couldn't go outside.
Thunderdome, the fuck is that?
Like wiping off our groceries. Nothing made sense. So for you to not make sense on wrestling, I mean, yeah, I've not made sense before, but this right here, mixing up, like I didn't like Shayna and Nia together. It just didn't make sense to me. Putting Charlotte and Asuka together did not make sense to me. I mean, I get the mutual respect because they are both legends in their own right. Absolutely. So this I understand. And for you to do something like this to keep the brand and stuff afloat when you only have but so many people to work with and to pick from, because at this time, again, a lot of these wrestlers were scared, not knowing what's going on, probably not comfortable in performing in front of no crowd. Remember, at this point, I think before they had the audience on the screen, it was dead silence. I still cringe.
Empty.
I still cringe at 316 days.
Dead silence. I cannot. I can't rewatch it. Shout out to Stone Cold for trying to make a joke out of it. I can't. It's so uncomfortable. And shout out, like,
dead silent. It's just like, what? And even Vince and Triple H and Shawn Michaels celebrating something, and it's dead silent. Like,
if y'all let us know on social if y'all remember that era before the Thunderdome, in between, and when they were at the Performance Center and there was no people there.
It was so cringy to wish. Like, do you even want to watch wrestling? Like, do we want to watch this?
Right. And you actually like had to like question that during that time. But starting in 2021, she's in this feud with Lacey Evans again and Ric Flair. Do you remember this?
I hate that.
Like, this was a time, like, there's so many things, and why I love doing this show with you is like there's so many things, because wrestling, so much can happen and change so quickly. I forgot about this.
I remember it because I remember texting you, and like, this reminds me of the storyline between Tori Wilson, her dad, and the other girl. I forgot her name at the moment. Or whatever. Lacey Evans is trying to push up on Ric Flair, and Charlotte's like, yeah, no, you're not going to touch my daddy hole. And all of that, like, it's just, again, I get that we were starting to come out of the panoramic, but it was just not, it wasn't for me. Like, exactly, I'm like Charlotte, laughing because you looked stupid.
It was stupid. It was so ridiculous. It really was. And there's one point where Lacey Evans comes out wearing Ric Flair's robe.
Yeah.
She says that Charlotte Flair is going to start calling her stepmommy. Like, it really was one of those ridiculous wrestling storylines that we all know of, and we laugh at, and we shake our head at it, and we're just like, why? And also, Ric Flair, go home. Like, it's COVID. Go home. Well, what are you doing here? What are you doing?
Not as COVID. Facts. Ric Flair. You know what? Shout out to Ric Flair. By the time this episode's out, his birthday just passed. He's a Pisces, Team Pisces. And I actually met him at the airport when I was coming back from Mania. So shout out to the fellow Pisces, Ric Flair, Nature Boy. Woo! Anyway.
Woo! We didn't even woo not once during this Charlotte series. That's very shocking.
No, the first episode. Remember, I was like, how can you have Charlotte without no woo? Like I said that. I did.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, like, and then this storyline goes further because after they become enemies, they try to make them a tag team. The blonde.
It was so silly. It was just so silly. It did birth that popular gif of them sipping tea, Charlotte and Lacey sipping tea, which I'll post it somewhere. But yeah, it didn't hit. Lacey and Rick interfered, and that's how Asuka and Charlotte lost the tag team titles. Then we go to WrestleMania 2021, which was another I believe this was the first one in front of a crowd again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I didn't realize that the plan was she wasn't involved in this WrestleMania. She was going to challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, but she ended up catching COVID. So she wasn't involved in WrestleMania 2021.
Yeah, she did catch COVID.
And which was shocking because it's like, wait, Charlotte not a part of WrestleMania.
And I remember you saying that too. And I'm just like, who needs her?
Oh my God. Also, we had I think a better main event, that one than this one.
Absolutely. As much as I love my girl Becky over here, right there over my shoulder. Bianca, hey baby, and Sasha, hey baby. Absolutely. Y'all did that.
The first the second 2-night Mania, but then the first one in front of a crowd in Florida. And we got together at Legends and we watched it. And it definitely
as a family.
Like, we did. It definitely felt like a homecoming kind of thing, like a reunion. It was like, oh my God, we back. Like,
and you know what's crazy? When we all came to Legends for that Mania, after like we wasn't even afraid to hug each other or embrace each other or anything. We were not afraid to do so at all. And for us to come together as a family and watch our Black sisters on that TV, child, I'll do it all over. I'll go to Legends and watch that match all over again. I will not do this whole panoramic all over again because no. Unless I get a stimmy, no.
Yeah, but that was a really good moment. Charlotte was not a part of it, but she does come back after Mania.
She sure does.
She is immediately inserted into the Raw Women's Championship title picture with Asuka and Rhea, and they have these matches across many different PLEs, WrestleMania Backlash, Hell in a Cell, but she doesn't regain the championship until Money in the Bank. And she is champion. And then guess what happens the next night on Raw? Just guess.
This was that moment where she loses to Nikki ASH for the third time.
Yo, how you get cashed in on for a third time? Like, come on, queen.
Listen, she's cashing on for the third time, but she ended up, Lord child, ended up winning it at SummerSlam. And then this is where things start to get a little murky for Becky and Charlotte because once the draft happened again, they were respective champions on their respective brands, but being that they was drafted to opposite brands, they had to give each other their belts. So
I hated this.
Yo, I hated it too that they had to exchange, and I'm just like, and me as a fan, we all know like at this point, Charlotte is a heel, Becky's a face. So her dropping the belt, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, she's still being a heel bitch.
Really tense, like
but then really come to find out that her dropping the belt, like Charlotte went on to explain that it was a real complete accident. Like it was such an accident. She explained it on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. She explained that, and I do believe like although like you can have a feud or a beef with somebody, like you can still keep it professional. And she kept it professional because as a heel, she said, I'm not going to bend down and pick up the belt and give it to her as a heel. I'm a heel. I'm going to stand in that. And that's what she did. And then Becky, I think she threw the belt at Charlotte or whatever.
Yeah, it got really, really, really tense. There was like a lot of different stories that was going on because as we knew now, like we didn't know before, but we knew like their friendship has dissolved. They are no longer friends for whatever reason. I have a lot of theories about that.
It's ego. It's because
100%.
No, I'm saying from what Charlotte was saying
No,
and
that's
what
what I'm
Becky
saying.
said, it's
100%.
ego. Like they were at this moment, they were pegged to be the top two women, and because they got pit against each other so much, one of them started walking around acting like they shit don't stink, and the other one was just like, "What are you doing?" And
Yeah,
you know,
and
it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Like I kind of want to get them back together. Be like, listen, y'all was friends.
See, it's one of those things where if you're my best friend and you can't handle that I'm also successful in this business too, then it's like, should they be friends? Because Charlotte is one of those things where you were given a lot of opportunities. Not saying that you were not deserving of them, like you earned a lot of it, like you're clearly an amazing athlete, but you are a 10-time, now 14-time champion, and Becky was never supposed to be over. Becky was never supposed to be looked at as an equal to Charlotte Flair, but talent, you know, you clearly can't deny Becky Lynch's star power. And then if you, as my best friend Charlotte, can't handle that, and now this is when now we have an issue and now ego's involved, because then of course Becky gonna start feeling herself because she's clearly the man at this point. Then it's just like, you know what? People grow apart. Their careers, you know, like we don't ever need to see them feud again. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's one of those things. But I hated that during this draft that they just swapped it. Like I think there could have just been such a better way to do it. You know, like if you wanted one on the other show, like okay, yeah. And then we have this moment that blurs the lines of kayfabe now, because now we're like talking about all these theories. So I mean, I guess it's okay it happened, but now Charlotte is back as SmackDown Women's Champion.
As Becky is Raw, but then this also leads to Survivor Series.
I think one of their best matches is that Survivor Series match.
This was my first Survivor Series attending, and it was in Brooklyn. And it was the
mine too, actually.
It was the 20 years of The Rock. And they kept teasing me the entire time. Dwayne Johnson, we're gonna talk about this, okay? Because I'm not through with this. So if you're watching, we're gonna clip this for social media and we're gonna direct this to Dwayne The Rock Johnson because, but anyway, I digress. But yes, that match, that feud, right? That match, that Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair champion versus champion match at Survivor Series. Child. And then Becky, I recall Becky or Charlotte, one of them was talking about it on Stone Cold's podcast. And there was like, once it ended, like that was a real moment. Like those were real tears because they just knew, like, besides the feud ending, they were done. They were over and done with each other. Like there's no coming back from whatever else happened. And you see the detail, Becky wearing the red, Charlotte got the blue nails, represent they like chef's kiss. This match, one of in my top 10 most favorite matches because this shit just don't make no sense.
I think the physicality was so real, the intensity was so real. Like they were really going for each other, and you could feel that shit. Like being there live was one of those moments, because this was like, I don't know, like animosity, like it was the perfect storm for a champion versus champion match, especially going back to what you were saying, Chris, of like why their friendship dissolved, and now for them to be pitted against each other as the top of the top of the top of the divisions. It kind of wrote itself. Like in the moment, I kind of was like, oh gosh, Charlotte and Becky again. I'm over it. I've seen it all already. Because they feuded for almost a year back in 2018, 2019, you know? But now in hindsight and having rewatched the match and then having been there, this was perfect. It was a perfect ending to whatever this is between them. And it's also always something that you can always go back to, because that Charlotte and Becky feud was like so good and so intense and so
I think I'm gonna watch that.
Right?
I think I want to watch that. Like, first of all, that whole Survivor series in general was good. Bianca was Soul Survivor.
Yep.
We had that Becky and Charlotte match. I'm pretty sure we had something with Roman Reigns in it because I'm pretty sure. I think it was like a Roman Brock thing once again. Like that whole, and then it was our first Survivor series. Like we were there to witness it in person, like in Brooklyn. Like what? Where else better? Like
I know, right? So let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into 2022 and this most recent year in Charlotte Flair's career.
Absolutely.
This moment, especially, it was in front of a crowd, and she came in as champion. And even though, you know, this is Bianca's moment, and she, you know, if Bianca didn't win, I would have been like, what the hell? It was still, I think, a moment for Sasha, for her to be self-realized, like different gear, like everything about her, the confidence, you know, of course she had to have an entrance. But this moment for me is probably one of my favorite Sasha moments. And I was trying to find a photo of Sasha's face and her and Bianca getting like emotional before the bell rings. And I think for just Black girls, Black women, shout out to Black Wrestling who got us the hoodie, the sweatshirts with the moment on it. But it was significant in so many different, you know, ways. And then this being the second match that main evented WrestleMania.
For the first Black females to do so.
Yes, exactly that. Love that. I loved covering Sasha Banks' career, talking about that main event with Bianca.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
We should just have a show. Chef's kiss matches. Chef's kiss matches.
I love that.
I come with 5, you come with 5, and we'll debate it out or whatever.
Yeah, because there's a lot of moments where everything just comes together, and it's just like
Chef's kiss. Let me text Justin right now while we're doing this and be like, "Hey, put this in the notes." But so we didn't see Charlotte for a while. After I don't want to say right after the Survivor Series match between her and Becky, but yeah, we didn't see her for a while. You know, she left, she took a hiatus, she got married, she was doing things that she's supposed to have been doing after, you know, she dropped the belt. But now she's back. And I don't know how.
Well, in 2022, Ronda Rousey comes back and eliminates Charlotte at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, that's when we knew that Ronda was going to win. Okay.
Yeah. See,
we just knew. We just knew.
Yeah,
we were like, oh, and she was like number 30.
Yeah,
Ronda.
that was that. But yeah, she ended up coming back. So Ronda Rousey is the Royal Rumble winner, and it goes back to what I hated. Like, why, Ronda? You don't need a championship opportunity. Like, why did you have to take this Rumble win from someone? But anyway, she challenges Charlotte Flair. So for the SmackDown Women's Champion, we were at this Mania.
Oh, I'm like, wait, we were.
But we didn't get to see this match between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, which I was kind of okay with missing out of all the matches on the card. So we got lost coming from the press room back to our seats. Shout out to Ryan H. Waters.
So we were trying to go back to the press room to get our stuff. To come back to get us.
Yeah. And we got lost because the fucking Alamo Dome is huge.
Alamo Dome is super huge. But shout out to the grandpa who helped us. I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name, but he was so cute. He pulled out a little map to help us.
Physical map.
And I listen, I was going to get him an Uber home if he had to travel home far.
He was like so sweet. There. So sadly, we didn't get to see the match live, but it was the semi-main event.
What we heard, we didn't miss anything.
Yeah, but Charlotte did win.
She
killed Ronda's undefeated streak. Like, she actually beat Ronda Rousey clean.
Yeah. I feel like Ronda coming back this time, it doesn't do it for me. And we all know how I felt about Ronda when she first came into WWE. We all know how I stood 10 toes down next to her. Like, but now, baby, this whole new attitude, like Rhonda took everything that people said on social media so seriously that she really is showing her true emotions and not doing the kayfabe stuff. Like you got to take what these people say with a grain of salt, because a lot of them are sitting in their mama's basements, still virgins, don't know what to do with themselves. And like for you to sit here and feed into that, like I don't like her run now. I don't like the attitude she has. I don't like how she has no sportsmanship into it. If that was the case, go back to UFC, MMA. Go do that. Wrestling's not the place for you.
Right. But Charlotte and Ronda, their feud, I have come to appreciate it off the simple fact that Charlotte is the best. Ronda is that star. She's Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte finally got that clean win over her again. And the biggest stage of them all. So kind of more solidifying Charlotte Flair as kind of like that player. Like she's it. Period. Like we already kind of knew it, but I think her actually beating Ronda Rousey clean, taking the championship off of her, really nailed it. But she wasn't champion for long. At WrestleMania Backlash, she has an I Quit match with Ronda, and Ronda wins, breaking one of Charlotte's arms, which we know was kayfabe, like you mentioned before. She goes off to marry Andrade, and she's gone for a while. She's probably gone for the longest she's ever been gone, to the point where I actually started missing him.
Yeah,
I was like, where's Charlotte? Like,
she's living her best life.
She was living her best life. She became a wife. She vacationed. She took time off for once. And people like Charlotte and like the Sashas of the world and like the Natalias that are like workhorses that are just like on. And when they're on, they're at the best. They're performing at their best. It's nice to take some time off. Like, get married. Don't rush back. Like, take your time. Let the other girls kind of get in the mix and take some time, Queen.
Absolutely. That's a word for us too. Like we're gonna take some time one day. We're gonna get married. We're gonna, we're gonna come back and be all glowing and stuff with our significant
and Charlotte
others.
is glowing when
glowing. Can we
look so good? Oh my god!
If you have a recent picture of Charlotte, can we glorify this queen real quick, because baby, she's giving. Okay, she is giving everything it needed to give and more. Because who but Charlotte? Okay. And I would have never thought I would have said some shit like that in my life.
I know, which is why it's good that we have time to miss you.
Right.
Like with Charlotte, it's always felt like, she would do her little hiatus now and again, but it was one of those things where you knew she was going to be in the title picture. You knew she was going to be inserted into things and you're going to question it. You know she was going to, always win the championship for whatever reason, even if she's champion for 5 minutes. So actually having time to miss her was, I think, the best thing that she could have ever did, because she ended up coming back
and as a baby face at that.
As a baby face. That's how much we missed Charlotte Flair, grew to love and respect her, but also just needing to take that belt off of Ronda Rousey.
She's a whole baby face. And you can tell, like, in certain segments or whatever, come on, look at that. She looks gorgeous.
New gear, new music. She reinvented herself. She's glowing.
In certain instances, she it was one time where she snatched the belt from the ref, and then she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry." And then like, you can hold my hand, like she's trying to get used to being such a baby face. She's getting used to being a baby face or whatever. But I loved it. And I'm telling y'all, I would have never thought in 84 years that I would ever say this out of my mouth, that I love the fact that Charlotte Flair is back.
Yo, or the fact that she's champion. Like, I never thought I would say that. And it was one of those perfect storms where we missed you and we really desperately need this belt off of Ronda Rousey. And the fact that she came back. Now, I have complained on within this series of times where Charlotte returned randomly and became champion, and I hated it. This is the one time where I was completely okay with her coming back and beating Ronda that quick and becoming champion, because it was time and it made us love her. And like I mentioned before, she has reinvented herself. She is still the queen, but it's a different side of it, which I have grown to really appreciate.
Me too.
So since came back, and now we're getting into like more recent time, which is fun. She did feud a little bit with Sonya Deville for the championship. Obviously, Sonya was not successful, so Charlotte Flair is still champion. And then we had Royal Rumble happen, and Rhea Ripley won. Historically, she entered at one and took it home. And she could have challenged. Honestly, it would have made sense story wise if she challenged Bianca, or who is the current Raw Women's Champion, or Charlotte. It would have made sense, but she chose Charlotte, and we talked about it becoming full circle. How do you see WrestleMania 39 ending? Do you see Rhea Ripley winning? Do you see Charlotte retaining? How do you see this going?
I see Rhea winning, and this is how I feel. Why? I see Rhea winning. Mommy and her little turd of a child, Dominic, going over to SmackDown. Dominic antagonizing Ray to the point where he snaps and he whoops his ass like Eddie would have done. R.I.P. Eddie Guerrero. And then
Dominic,
listen, let him be in the Black Mama household, okay? Okay, all right. That's how I feel. I feel like Ray is gonna win, take it off of Charlotte. It's gonna be some type of mutual understanding or whatever, right? I got me, I got you. You know, we're gonna probably do it one more time. But yeah, they're gonna go over to SmackDown. Judgment Day is gonna be like a two man Judgment Day. Judgment Day is gonna be on Raw with Finn and Damian. Judgment Day is gonna be on SmackDown with Rhea and Dominic, and then they're gonna go do their thing over there. But Rhea, I feel like Rhea will walk out as SmackDown Women's Champion. It makes sense to add to the storyline because she already did her antagonizing over on Raw. Now she could do it over on SmackDown, and she could bring more of that star quality over on SmackDown as well. Because who else do we have besides Charlotte?
Right.
We don't care about seeing Ronda and Shayna. They barely use Natty, and when they use Natty, they make her look soft and weak, which I hate. We have like Tegan Knox. We have whomever's left. We have Liv. We have Raquel. Like it's like, yeah, let Rhea come over. Let Rhea come over.
Yeah, I think SmackDown could use that. I see Rhea Ripley winning. If she doesn't win for whatever fucking reason, I will be so disappointed, because I was so disappointed when she didn't beat Charlotte at WrestleMania 36 for the NXT Women's Champion, because Rhea Ripley has so much momentum, and it just, to me, it completely killed it. Like, completely killed it to the point where I turned on Rhea. I was like, oh, I'm not a fan anymore. Now, she's it. She's locked in. She's over. Like, she was the only person that could have won this Royal Rumble, so she has to be Charlotte. And you know, Charlotte you gotta take that LA Mania. Like, I'm sorry, like it's Rhea's time. She has to win. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to see this match. So that's where we are currently with Charlotte Flair's career. She's in her 14th championship run, and she's facing Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39. So we have covered the magnificent career, the illustrious career of Charlotte Flair from the start of it all the way up to now, Mania season of 2023. Feels good. So like we always end these spotlight episodes, what is Charlotte Flair's legacy? Like, what does she leave on this business? Is she the best women's wrestler ever? Is she the best to do it in WWE? How do we feel now?
I mean, that's still debatable, but she's definitely up there. She's I mean, you can't, like, at this moment, if you was to do the women right now, Charlotte, it's literally all the four horsewomen. Although Sasha is no longer in WWE, she did what she needed to do over there.
That's it.
So she's still money. She's still, you know. So you have the four horsewomen. You have Bianca, Rhea, Asuka, and maybe Carmella. Oh, and Liv, because Liv does her shit. Can't forget about Liv. Can't forget about Liv Morgan. But as for her legacy, those are some big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
I think still she was trying to, like, I know they probably told her, she probably her like trying to fill her dad's shoes with with some big shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Them shoes is overflowing at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because you can argue that she's the best because she's the most decorated. She's, you know, been in the most Mania championship matches. Like all of the criteria, Charlotte checks that off. They made sure all that shit was on her resume so that you could look and be like, yes, she's the best. But what I love is that it's still debatable. It's still like, okay, but is she a better wrestler than Sasha? Like, was she as over with the fans as Becky? Like, there's still those things that you can kind of, point at in her career. And also, she's been in the game for so long and she's just decorated, but this is the most I've been invested in her as a baby face. So it's like
it's never really been seen before.
Right, where we actually want it. Like we want it. It doesn't feel forced. We want it. And I'm saying we as in like myself and maybe Krista. Like I know that Charlotte Flair has her fans that are gonna like probably disagree with a lot of like what we're saying. I get it too. But she has been the focus for a long time. And this is the first time where I feel like I actually want her to be the focus. And we're 14 times into her title reigns.
Right.
But
she's literally two away from her dad.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what I realized though? Sorry not to cut you off, but they don't. I was watching SmackDown where Rey Mysterio had his match. You know how they put the stats up. Mm-hmm. They don't talk about how Rey Mysterio is a 15-time champion, one away from Ric Flair.
Right. That's actually very. And I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either until they put the stats up. He's a 15-time champion.
Wow.
Just had to throw that out there. I'm sorry.
No, that's amazing, especially because like my next thing was like, and I don't even think it's a question. Like she's 100% better than Ric Flair. I think she
absolutely.
I think even he'd admit that. I think she exceeded all the expectations of being the daughter of Ric Flair. I loved the exchange. I'm glad you mentioned Rey Mysterio because on Raw this past week, Dominic and Charlotte were in the ring and they had a really good exchange where
SmackDown.
SmackDown. He basically says like, we have a lot in common. Like we both are generational talents and, all of these things. So the fact that she is a woman and she is upholding this legacy of a Ric Flair to me is always dope. And why, there's a part of me that will always ride out for Charlotte because of all of these things, because she's a phenomenal athlete, because she earned a lot of what she has. She was given, but then she also is the best. Like she is athletic. She is good on the mic. She is the entire package. Like I don't think I've ever seen Charlotte look off or have a bad day as far as her whole presentation. She's had her matches, I think sometimes she doesn't sell the best for depending on who she's working with, or you could tell who she likes working with. I will definitely say that. But as far as the whole queen presentation, she's always, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Shout out to her stylist, King Troy, who has been dressing the queen, chef's kiss. And just her out in the mainstream. Like she is definitely somebody like, when you don't watch wrestling, you can say like, Ric Flair. Oh, that's his daughter.
That's his daughter.
Oh, really? So she definitely bridges a lot of gaps. So I get why the focus is on her. So I just love everything that she's been able to do. And I'm really excited for the future of the queen.
Same. Me too. So guys, there you have it. That's our episode, part 3 on Charlotte Flair. We want to say thank you for tuning in. You already know where you can find us. Please make sure you go to our website, thosewrestlinggirls.com. We got a website, thosewrestlinggirls.com. Please make sure you follow us everywhere. Make sure you subscribe to our Patreon, our Twitch, our YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Be a part of our discussion groups. Follow us on TikTok. P has been throwing some really, really dope TikToks up there. And we got a lot more store for you guys. Oh, now my voice cracking. It's the Dorito. Sorry. We got a lot more in store for you guys. And please stay tuned because we have 2 other dope episodes that we're going to drop very, very soon. And please make sure that you join us for Thirsty Thursday on March 9th. Because that's my birthday. And it's going to be at a special time from 6 to 8. If y'all want to carry on and go on later than that, P, you can. But I got to be off at 8. And we hope to see you there. You can follow me on Instagram at Miss_Krista B_. That's underscore KRISTAB underscore, and on Twitter, Miss underscore Krista B, no underscore at the end. You can follow Miss Queen PR over there at Queen 3 underscores PR everywhere. And on that note, it's your girl Krista B
and Queen PR.
And we're out of here. Bye.
Queen PR, Krista B, those wrestling girls, TWG, Black excellence, making it effortless. Podcast bringing up women in wrestling. Let's go.